The events in this program are inspired by a true story. Names, dates, and details have been changed. Viewer discretion is advised. On this episode of Bizarre Murders.
Oh my gosh, Patricia!
When a young hippie is murdered in her co-op.
Oh, help! Somebody!
Detectives turn to her free-loving friends to track down her killer.
Did you hear anything that sounded out of the norm?
No, man.
But when a strange clue leads to a dead end.
I told you I didn't do it, man.
They fear the summer of love might end with a killer going free.
So what was the motive?
Ashbury, San Francisco, 1970.
It's open, dude.
John is a straight-laced doctor, married to his homemaker wife, Leanne. He has two daughters who live in a hippie co-op in the heart of free love.
Hello, young man. I'm looking for Patricia and Susan.
Who?
Patricia and Susan.
Patty and Susie. Yeah, they're down the hall to the right, the room on the right.
Right. Thank you.
He's paying a visit to convince his daughters to leave the hippie commune and come back home to his safe suburban bungalow.
Girls?
But when he walks into the room, he makes a horrifying discovery.
Oh my gosh! No! Patricia! Sweetie! No! Help! Help! Somebody!
Detective Fredericks, a rookie with the San Francisco PD, is called to the scene of the crime.
Sorry, she's not good with strangers.
This is his first murder scene, and he's eager to prove his chops.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
He determines that Patty was bludgeoned to death with a lava lamp. He finds a bloody fingerprint and a man's glove lying in a pool of blood. He believes it belongs to the killer. He also finds a sketch of a young woman who appears to be Patty.
I remember when I was a new agent, so I feel Detective Fredericks' pain. Your first murder investigation can be pretty intimidating, especially when you've got evidence that raises more questions than it answers. Did the killer go there with the intent to kill? Or was it a crime of opportunity? Was it a sexual assault or a robbery? And why did the killer leave behind a sketch of the victim? This is a challenging crime scene for a seasoned detective, much less a rookie. My advice, just 1 foot in front of the other, brother.
Do you know of anyone who had issues with Patty?
No, man. No, she was a sweet girl. No one would want to hurt her.
Patty's roommates tell Detective Fredericks that her sister Susie is on tour with her band, so Patty was staying alone in her room.
Was there anyone suspicious in the house at all last night?
We don't keep a sign-in sheet, man. Society's rules aren't ours.
Well, did you hear anything that sounded out of the norm?
No, man. Actually, now that I think of it, I heard a scream.
And?
I didn't think anything of it. I just thought it was one of the girls, you know, like getting it on. So.
And what time was that?
I was tripping, man. I wasn't taking notes.
Well, did the dog bark at all?
No. And you know what? The pooch is pretty vocal if she doesn't know you. I mean, you walk up and she'll just raise a holy hell.
So the killer knew Patty. Or else the dog would have barked.
If you say so, man.
As an investigator, I know there's nothing more annoying than unreliable witnesses, especially when they're out of their heads on weed and goofballs. But as always, man's best friend comes to the rescue. The fact that Poppy didn't bark signals to Fredericks that when the killer walked into the room, he or she was no stranger.
I'm gonna need to grab everyone's fingerprints before I leave.
Yeah, of course. We're here to help you, man. I mean, we all loved Patty. She was a sweet girl, man. Brother, chill out, man.
I'm not your brother, dude.
Oh.
Detective Fredericks determines that nothing was taken from Patty's room, so he's able to rule out robbery. The autopsy reveals there was no sexual assault, and time of death is estimated between 12 and 18 hours before she was found.
So what was the motive? I'm just gonna need your fingerprints.
Yeah, of course.
Detective Fredericks brings Patty's father, John, down to the station for questioning.
Can you think of anyone who would want to hurt your daughter?
She spent her time with a lot of seedy characters, so who knows who she came into contact with.
And how was your relationship with Patty?
Strained, to be honest.
Is that so? So you had a strained relationship with your daughter. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about that?
We had this big fight a couple of months ago.
John wants his daughters to go to college, find a nice man to marry, and become homemakers.
What the hell is going on in here?
Dad, you can't just barge in on us like that.
It's my house, my rules. When you start paying the bills, you can make the rules. Give me that.
You can't take
You
that.
need to stop hanging around with those hippie types.
Dad!
But it's the summer of love, and Patty and Susie don't want to conform to society's rules. They aren't interested in landing a husband or pumping out babies.
You're throwing your lives away with this lifestyle of yours.
Patty wants to be a model, and Susie wants to play guitar in a band.
You girls should move to Iowa.
He threatens to send them to live in the Midwest with their grandmother if they don't shape up.
Okay, you know what? Don't even worry because we're already gone.
Where are you
We're
going?
going. We're leaving because clearly you don't want us here. Here, puppy. Come on. Come on. Let's go.
Don't think you can come crawling back here.
We won't.
You're gonna regret this.
Susie and Patty move out of their parents' house,
Suze, that sounds groovin'.
Thanks, man.
cutting off all ties with them.
Hey, are you gonna finish rolling that blunt or what?
I want to make sure it's perfect.
Susie and Patty are doing what a lot of kids, including myself, did in the 70s. They're ditching anything that even resembled their parents' life and are embracing peace, love, and of course, weed. My parents aren't going to see this, right?
We didn't see eye to eye on almost everything.
Where were you last night?
Home alone. My wife's visiting her mother.
Do you have anyone who can verify your whereabouts?
Like I said, I was home alone. You don't think I did this, do you?
John's relationship with his daughters was anything but peace and love. And while it's hard to imagine a father killing his daughter, trust me, I've seen stranger things. It's not too far-fetched to think that he went over there to convince them to come home. They refused, their fight escalated, and he simply lost control. Case closed.
I'm gonna have to ask you to do something for me, sir.
Detective Fredericks asks John to try on the glove the killer left at the scene of the crime.
Doesn't fit.
If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. Remember that line? Yeah, that's one for the history books. But despite the debacle that was the O.J. Simpson case, it's still a good way to help eliminate a suspect. Back when I was starting out, technology was limited and DNA databases didn't exist. So these elimination techniques might seem a little old-fashioned, but it's all we had.
The results of the fingerprint test confirm that neither John nor any of Patty's roommates are the killer.
Well, I guess that settles it. You're free to go.
Find the person who did this.
Sir, I promise you, I'm doing everything I can.
Looking for a new lead, Detective Fredericks pores over Patty's diary. It reveals that she had affairs with 8 men over the last 6 months.
He took off my blouse slowly and then started to slip off my skirt.
The age of Aquarius, with all of its free love, does not bode well for murder investigations. The song I Get Around was popular for a reason, you know what I'm saying? But for cops, the problem with too many lovers is that you have too many suspects. And too many suspects means a whole lot of confusion.
As he nears the end of the diary, Detective Fredericks discovers something that piques his interest.
Yesterday, I met the coolest cat at an art show. His name is Davey. An hour after we met, we shagged on the carpet.
Detective Fredericks learns that Davey is a well-known artist in the hippie scene who has a studio downtown.
Bingo.
This is what I call a good day in Copland. It's basically a lead that could crack the case wide open. Detective Fredericks knows that Patty was likely killed by the person who drew the sketch of her and left it at the murder scene, and who she knew intimately. And lo and behold, the final entry in her diary is about a lover who also happens to be an artist. As investigators, you never rely on getting a lucky break, but when you do, you thank the detective gods and move on.
Davey?
Yeah, man.
I'm sorry to tell you that Patty was killed a couple days ago.
Detective Fredericks, determined to solve his first murder case, believes he may have tracked down the killer.
I can't believe that. This is tragic. How could such a bright light be extinguished so soon, man? Patty, what do you mean, man? That's terrible news.
Is Patty your girlfriend?
Girlfriend? What's that even mean, man? No, we just had this connection. It's this vibe, you know?
Sure. Where were you Tuesday night?
I was at an artist's retreat in Mendocino, man. I just got back this morning.
Detective Fredericks, suspicious of the convenient timing of Davey's retreat, asks him to come down to the station for further questioning.
I didn't hurt Patty, man.
We'll see about that. I just need you to do something for me. It'll just take a second.
I told you I didn't do it, man.
While Detective Fredericks runs Davey's fingerprints, he asks him to try on the glove. Detective Fredericks is informed that Davey's alibi checks out.
You're free to go. But before you go,
The detective shows Davey the sketch that he found at the scene of the crime, hoping for some insight into the mind of the killer.
by looking at that, can you tell anything about the artist?
That's no artist, man. That's an amateur. You dig?
This is the frustrating part about detective work. Dead ends. Detective Fredericks now has 0 leads on this would-be artist/killer. Back to the drawing board.
Later that day,
Please have a seat.
Susie arrives home from her music tour after hearing the news about her sister.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
What happened to Patty?
Detective Fredericks tells Susie that they think Patty knew her killer, and he may be an amateur artist.
Do you know anyone that fits that description?
No, everybody loved Patty.
Anyone she worked with or lived with?
Well, there was this one guy. His name was Jeffrey.
Susie tells the detective that she remembers a wannabe artist who used to live in the co-op.
He was really creepy, and he always used to follow me around and sketch me.
Does this look familiar at all?
Yeah. That's me.
Whoa. Detective Fredericks thought the sketch was Patty. If it's Susie, that's a whole different ballgame, or peace circle, or whatever you want to call it. Basically, Susie's revelation opens up a whole can of worms. You dig?
Are you sure that's you? What makes you say that?
Because I have tons more just like that one.
Oh.
This is what detectives call a whopping curveball, for lack of a technical term, and for a rookie detective, that's a pretty big setback. So now he's left with the big question. If the drawing is Susie and not Patty, then why was it left at the crime scene?
Susie's a musician, I'm not good.
Oh, no.
Hey, man.
Hi.
Welcome, dude. It's good
Hello.
to see you, man.
How's everyone doing?
Sit down, sit down, sit down.
Hi.
Hey.
Susie tells Detective Fredericks that a guy named Jeffrey used to live in their house.
I'm Jeffrey.
Hi, I'm Susie.
He would sketch portraits of her all the time.
Would you mind if I draw you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Cool.
Despite his lack of talent, he thinks he's the next big thing to hit the art world. He doesn't let anything come between him and his dream until he meets Susie.
You're very beautiful.
Thank you.
At first, Susie is flattered, but soon, Jeffrey can't seem to draw anything other than Susie
Susie,
and starts to follow her around the house.
can I draw you? The light is so beautiful in here.
Yeah, I guess.
I thought you wanted to draw.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
You call yourself an artist? Dream on.
Eventually, Jeffrey's attention turns to obsession.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Sorry, I was just...
Go away.
I'm sorry.
Susie can't go anywhere without Jeffrey's eyes and a sketch pad following.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
I'm just...
Get out, you freak!
You're so beautiful.
Get out!
This is borderline stalker behavior, but here's the thing. A typical stalker doesn't bring their sketch pad along for the ride, so Jeffrey's got more serious issues going on, and one way or another, that means trouble for Susie.
Sorry, brother, that's crossing the line. You gotta go.
I just can't draw anything else but you, Susie.
That is not our problem, Jeffrey.
Peace, brother.
Jeffrey is eventually kicked out of the co-op.
He gave me sketch after sketch after sketch, and I never knew where to put them. I just threw them in my closet. I probably have hundreds more just like this one.
Detective Fredericks tells Susie that he'll need to collect the sketches for evidence.
Okay, but if he was obsessed with me, why did he hurt Patty?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
I don't know.
Patty wasn't cool with Jeffrey stalking her sister, so he could have been looking for revenge. Or maybe he thought that Susie would give him more time if Patty wasn't in the picture. Or maybe Jeffrey's not the killer at all and he's just an eccentric artist. Detective Fredericks already made the rookie mistake of assuming, so he's going to be careful this time.
With no registered address for Jeffrey, detectives ask Susie to work with a sketch artist to compose a physical likeness of him.
Here you go.
And the cops plaster it all over the city, hoping someone will recognize him and turn him in.
The thing about the 70s is cops didn't have the technology that we have today. This is before social media, where you could find a digital footprint of a perp within seconds and track him down. Back then, you had to do a lot more legwork. Think of this as an old school Facebook. Cops want to tap into a social network, and the only way they can do that is by posting his face in the areas a wannabe hippie artist would hang out.
Meanwhile, Jeffrey, amateur artist extraordinaire, believes he has just killed the object of his obsession and is finally free to explore his creative genius.
Hey, Kathleen.
Wow, you're smiling.
I feel great. I'm so ready to unwrap the true artist inside me. You know?
Cool.
This guy is fooling himself if he thinks he's headed for greatness, with or without his muse. I know I'm just the man, but even I could draw a better banana than this low-rent Andy Warhol wannabe.
Fearing she may be taking an art class with a killer, Kathleen makes a phone call to the police.
Yes, hi. I'm not sure, but I think I'm sitting next to the guy in the wanted poster.
Detective Fredericks gets a phone call from a fellow artist who believes that Jeffrey, who's wanted for questioning in the city's latest murder, is in her art class.
Is your name Jeffrey?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to come down to the station with me for some questioning.
What for?
In connection with a murder. I'm just gonna show you a few things.
Detective Fredericks tries to pin the sketch found at the murder scene on Jeffrey.
Recognize that at all?
No.
How about this one? Or this one? Or this one? This one? How about this one? Should I continue?
Okay, it's my artwork. I like to draw Susie. She was beautiful.
Why was one of your sketches found at the murder site?
I don't know.
Detective Fredericks asks Jeffrey to try on the glove that was found at the scene of the crime.
It doesn't fit.
Try pulling a little harder. Well, strike 3 for you. Are you ready to talk?
I had no choice.
What do you mean?
I would never become the artist I was meant to be with her alive.
As a motive for murder, it may sound far-fetched, but obsession can do strange things to people and can actually cause them to lose sight of reality.
Jeffrey admits that the moment he met Susie, he was overwhelmed by her beauty and talent. His admiration soon turned to infatuation.
Jeffrey, what is this?
This is Susie.
He becomes unable to think about, much less draw, anything but Susie.
This is a still life class, not a portrait class.
But she's my muse.
Make the fruit your muse.
His art teacher tells him that he'll flunk out of her class if he doesn't learn to draw the basics, and never amount to anything if he continues to draw the same model over and over. A frustrated Jeffrey tries to master the basics, but no matter how hard he tries, he's only able to draw Susie. Jeffrey becomes more and more obsessed until he eventually becomes unhinged.
take this anymore!
Finally, in a desperate attempt to erase Susie from his mind and become the Picasso he knows he can be, he makes a drastic decision.
I have to get rid of her to free myself.
So this takes the phrase tortured artist to the extreme. He somehow believes that if he just gets rid of Susie, he'll be able to release his artistic genius and become the next Van Gogh. Wait a minute. Didn't Van Gogh cut off his ear before he went mad?
Hi, Poppy. Hey.
I can't do this anymore.
I have to get rid of her.
I have to destroy her.
To free myself.
I can't take this anymore!
Good riddance, Susie.
Having freed his tortured mind, Jeffrey is able to move on and explore his creative genius.
What I don't get is, if you're so fixated on Susie, why did you kill her sister, Patty?
I didn't kill Patty. I killed Susie.
No, you killed Patty.
No, I killed Susie.
No, you killed Patty.
No, I killed Susie.
No, you didn't.
When Jeffrey sees Susie, he realizes the full extent of his fate.
No.
No! No! No!
Whoops, that's one you can't take back. What do you when you've just killed the wrong girl in order to free your inner artist? You rot in jail, that's what you do. To everything there is a season. And this cool cat's gonna be chilling in prison for a very long time.
After confessing to killing Patty, Jeffrey is convicted of first-degree murder. He is sentenced to life in prison.
In Jeffrey's mind, his potential as an artist was somewhere between Da Vinci and Dali, if he could only unleash it. His obsession with Susie and the fact that he could only draw her convinced Jeffrey that if he could only get rid of his muse, he might finally master his art. In reality, his true talent probably lies somewhere between narcissism and delusion. And now it turns out Michelangelo is not only stuck in jail for the rest of his life, but he's also trapped in a prison of his own mind, doomed to draw Susie forever. Peace out.